I'm Kalea.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Jade.
Kaylee.
Kyla.
Abby.
Halsey.
Hi, my name is Madeline Wilson, and tonight I'm going to be demonstrating and explaining the proper process of weight throw. For those of you who don't know, I'm a member of the women's track and field team here at NIAC, and the events that I participate in are weight throw and hammer throw. Just to sort of provide some background if you're not familiar with weight throw, it's basically the indoor and smaller version of hammer throw. So if you're familiar with that, then you should have a general idea of it. But before we even pick up the weight, or we even get into turns, we need to make sure that we have the proper gear. Usually for any track and field event, you're gonna need a specific type of clothing or a specific type of shoe. And for throwers, our shoes are the most essential part. And the most key part of our shoe is this small disc that sits towards the top of the shoe and helps us gain momentum through the circle, and it also helps us block and separate our turns. And the second most important thing when you're throwing weight is gonna be some form of hand protection, whether that be a glove, taping your fingers, or even applying chalk to your hand, anything to reduce the amount of friction and stress on the palm of your hand and the start of your fingers, because that's usually where the weight will sit. Now that we've gone through the proper gear, we need to go through the actual process of an actual turn. So we're gonna start with our feet maybe shoulder width apart. I'm gonna keep mine a little closer because my legs are kind of big. And we're gonna have a slight bend in our knees. It's important to have a bend in your knees because the weight already has so much pull over your body while you're mid-turn. So we need to have our knees bent to sort of keep grounded and have our center of gravity towards the ground. So we can reduce the amount of pull. So we're basically essentially gonna do a semi-fast 360. We're gonna go through each part. So we're gonna go to the left about 90 degrees. We're gonna be on our left heel, right toes. We're gonna go back, same position, but we're gonna put our left foot completely down. Then we're gonna bring our right leg over our left leg, semi-fast, and this kind of ties in back to having the important gear, because by having that disc on the bottom of our shoe, it allows us to gain some momentum and to block. So when we bring this leg over, have the momentum, and we turn through with a full turn. So we're gonna end in the starting position, and when we're coming from the third part of the turn, it's very important to have your left heel down before your right heel. That way, if you're going to initiate or start in another turn, it'll be easier to do. So now that we've gone through the actual process and steps of a turn, now it's time to actually get the weight involved. So you're gonna put on your hand protection, whether that be a glove or you taking your fingers, go ahead and hold it. And this is just my preference, but I like to have the weight held at the base of my fingers. So we're gonna be in the same position, feet shoulder width apart, have the bend in our knees, and we're gonna go in an upwards and downwards motion once or twice just to get adjusted to the weight. Then we're gonna come to the center of we're gonna bring the weight to the center of our body, right hand over left, then we're gonna go to the right, same motion as the first motion. It's almost similar to the motion of swinging a golf club. And then this next part is a little hard to do with slow motion, so I'm just gonna act it out, then we'll do full turn with the weight. So once you've gone from side, center to side, you're gonna wanna bring the weight up, wind it over your head, and then you're gonna come down and then go into your turn. So we're gonna have our knees bent. So that's gonna be what a basic turn will look like. And it's also, now depending on how many turns that you're doing, now depending on if you're doing between 1 to 4 turns, so depending on how many turns you're doing, you're eventually gonna have to let go of the weight. So the release is, so another key essential part of the process is going to be the release. We're gonna have to let go of it eventually, and the proper release form is gonna be with our arms in a Y stance or U stance, as long as your hands are in an upwards position. That way the weight can reach its maximum height and maximum distance. We kind of want it to make sort of like a rainbow arch or some sort of arch. We don't want the weight to go directly up because then we won't achieve any distance, and we don't want the weight just to go flat out because then we won't achieve any height. So you have to kind of find the sweet spot of it. So now that we've gone through the whole process, we should know the basics. We've gone through the proper steps of a turn. We've talked about the importance of having the proper gear. We've included the weight in our turns so we can get adjusted to the feel. And we've also talked about the importance of having proper release form. Now that we've addressed all of the steps individually again, it should be easier to comprehend, and it should make a lot more sense when it comes time to put it all together. You should know the basics, and you should be ready for your first throw. Thank you.